Okay, so 2022 starting off okay, and it's not bad, but I've got a couple things going on and some videos I'm sort of in the middle of trying to make or trying to work on, and I've got a couple of projects that I'm beginning on, but I haven't quite gotten back to the people that I'm going to be building for as far as what all they need and what all they want. One of them knows. Well, we've had a little bit of time to try to figure out, but we're going to figure out the rest of it. Not going to mention any names, Chelsea, but we'll get to that pretty soon. And Jeff, I promise I will get to you. Fro, we will get things figured out and get you a computer built as well. So, but in the meantime, while we're in the middle of doing that, I thought, you know what? I've got some parts sitting around that aren't committed to anything yet, and I haven't figured out what to do with them. So why not make a build and see if there's anything I can do with what I got besides what I've already built. So we're going to take a look at some of that stuff and see how it works. It's going to be a hodgepodge of things. It's going to be mismatched. It's going to be an old case. It's going to be memory that doesn't match up. It's going to be, yeah, we'll just have to see how it works. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? It's not like it's a Gigabyte power supply. Okay, so for the beginning of it, we're going to use this X570 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi motherboard. It is actually earmarked for a build. We just have to get back and figure out exactly what else we're going to put in it. On board with that also is a team group. I believe it's a 250 or 256 gig NVMe drive that it has an operating system and everything already on it because I was prepping things before things stalled out. But that's okay. So we know what the motherboard is. The video card, we're going to use a GeForce GTX 1660 because, well, I've got one around. Unfortunately, this is not something you can buy very easily. Right now, they are running in the $500 range, and it sucks, and I hate it, but I bought this before all that stuff happened. I actually paid around $200 or so for this, but that was before everything went crazy, and trying to replace this right now would be very difficult. So if I do sell it, I have to sell it for something I can buy another one with. For the memory sitting there right beside it, I've got it's one 8 gig stick of Ballistix DDR4 running at 3000, and the other stick right there came out of the HP laptop from not too long ago. That was 4 gig stick. So yes, it's going to be mismatched. It's not going to quite be. It's going to end up being 12 gig, and I believe it's going to be running at 3000. I don't think I can overclock that crucial. We'll see what happens, but you know, hey, the Ryzen 3 3100 is going to be the CPU that goes in it. I just got this recently. It hasn't been assigned to any build yet. I have done some testing, and that has been all, but we're going to see what happens. I do have some fans, some regular Corsair 140 millimeter fans, but they are actually going to go into this case right here. And I believe it's a Lepa LPC502. I've got it several years ago when Fry's Electronics was still in business, and it's been a great case. It does have an acrylic side panel, which isn't the greatest, but it's got plenty of room for a bunch of stuff, including expansion on the front. It also has a basement for the power supply, cable management. It did a great job for what I needed it to do, but it was replaced by the Corsair case. Yep. So I know you guys will understand that. Anyway, that's where we're going to put everything in, and we're going to see how it does. Okay, to get this bad boy back in shape, there is some stuff I have to do, including bending some tabs out and just kind of overall cleaning up, dusting out, all that good stuff. Going to have to obviously take care of this filter because you can't really swap the filter out. You have to. There's a couple of steps in trying to take it apart. But it's pretty easy to take apart for the most part. Did I just say that like that? Anyway, it's not too bad, so I'll finish doing this and I'll put everything in and we'll start it up. And I almost forgot this thing had fans in the top. A couple of Intermax, I believe they're 120, just LED blue. So it'll be a nice little color on the inside of I believe the other fans I've got are blue too, so the whole thing will be blue. But I forgot, so I had to take it apart and clean the fans and everything too, along with the top air filter that's on here. So yeah, now we're going to put it all back together. So it's a couple of days later, and we got everything together, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, I don't know, but everything went together, it worked, and it came up the first time. Now, one of the first things that we did notice was that the memory being mismatched did have an effect, because we couldn't actually set any of the timings or overclock or anything. It reset back to the base clock of that Crucial Ballistix, which the JEDEC on that, or the default memory speed, is 2667 or 2666 or what have you. So that's what it set it as. The other memory ran at the same speed, didn't do any harm. It does, and we'll kind of show that in a few minutes, does kind of give decent results, but as you would expect, lower memory speed for an AMD does knock it down a little bit. No, okay, so a couple things to talk about the case. That Lepa, the LPC502, that company is no longer in business. The last thing on their website was updated in 2019. So unfortunately, unless you can get a case like this secondhand, there's some good and some bad about it. The good is there's plenty of room. It has a basement for the power supply and the hard drives, and a place where you can hide all the extra cables. It does have some space on it where you can put zip ties through on the back for cable management. It doesn't have now cases are a little bit deeper, and they've got, you know, Velcro straps and all that. But this does have some sort of area for cable management, so it's not too bad. There are plenty of openings for your cables to come through from the back to the front to hook into your motherboard. Access to the bottom of the motherboard is not too bad. I did have to do a little bit of rerouting to kind of clean it up and make it look okay, but there seemed to be plenty of room and plenty of access to be able to do that, which worked out really, really well. And yes, on the back, I did use blue tie wraps, or zip ties. I call them tie wraps. I have for a long, long time. Blue on the back, and anything that's visible in the front is always black, or whatever color I can closest to match to whatever I'm doing. Usually it's black. Where it can be seen. You can't see the back, but if I take the panel off, I want to be able to see where those are real quick. So if I have to do any routing, I don't have to guess where everything is, because black tie wraps do kind of blend in. You're not supposed to be able to see them. So I usually use blue when I'm doing the back and stuff that I can see that nobody else can see. And that it just kind of helps me a little bit. No grommets in this case. There are none. Zero. So you want to be careful. You don't want to pull anything too tight that might scrape on anything. There's no sharp edges that I encountered, but there's no rubber grommets either. So grommets not only help keep the friction down on the cable, but they also help fill in that empty space in between, so you can kind of see through. The side panel itself is acrylic, and it's a darker acrylic, so you can't really get a good view into your case unless you have a lot of RGB or something that's showing through. Then it'll look all right. Doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good still, but it is acrylic. It is an older case, and you know, let's face it. This case came out, I believe it's 5 years old now. It's 2017. Unfortunately, like I said, the company hadn't posted anything on their website since 2019, but the case itself still was pretty solid. The only other problem I had with the case was the air filters are difficult to get to. Now it does have them, and it was able to keep that 3100 and that RTX or the GTX 1660 cool. I didn't get anything above about 54, 55 Celsius on the CPU, and I never got above about 65 Celsius on the GPU. And that was running some of the heavier benchmarks, like Borderlands 3 and all that are usually pretty, they usually stress the GPU out a little bit and have those temperatures come up. But didn't do it in this case, so it worked out pretty well. Now, would I put 5900 in this case with a 3080? I don't know. That might be a little bit too much heat for that airflow. There was plenty of room for fans, but one other thing I did also have to do is one of those Intermax fans that came with the case, I had to swap it out for a different fan because it was just noisy. Also didn't seem to want to light up blue anymore. It was kind of off and on, so I noticed when I swapped out the other fan, it completely turned off. So don't know what the deal with that was. Probably has something to do with the Molex connectors that are connecting to it. But regardless, that's what it is. So overall, I was very happy with the build. It's a hodgepodge of stuff. It's stuff that you would never think to, like, hey, look, I've got this, or I've got that, or I've got that. It's stuff that's actually going to go a little bit of my spare parts and in 2 different builds. And it gave me an opportunity to test out a lot of the equipment before I started putting it in other people's builds. So that, in a way, is a very, very good thing. There is one thing that I did think, though. With this memory configuration being odd like it is, 8 and 4 gig, and the different speeds, AMD wasn't as picky as it used to be, or didn't seem to be as picky in this case as it used to be. But how much better would matched memory do? 16 gig of matched memory? Yeah, that'll be the next thing we'll check out. But anyway, I wanted to check it like it was. The memory, I will go ahead and put in. I'm actually in the middle of benchmarking that. But anyway, that's coming up. But the fact of the matter is, this does work. The leftover build works out pretty well. It gives me an opportunity to test some of the equipment and some of the things that may or may not end up going together, but they worked out fine in this case. And it gave me a chance to make sure that all of them do work. So that's all I got for right now. If you found it helpful or entertaining or anything like that at all, go ahead and throw a thumbs up. If not, I understand if you have to thumbs down, but let me know why. Give me, tell me something. You're also welcome to give me any suggestions you like or any thoughts or anything down in the comments. I love seeing the comments down there. Still trying to hit 500 subs soon so I can get on some of these affiliate programs so I can help you and you can help me and everybody's happy and all that good stuff. Don't forget to visit me on the other social medias. And until next time, folks, that's all I got. So I'll see you later. What? Now what? Do I get it back? You gonna bring it back to me?